And he was just basically saying, in 10 days' time, I'm closing my business. And the reason I'm closing my business, I don't have enough customers. And, I'm going out. Now, maybe someone will come along and offer to help him to survive a little bit longer. A business like that is not going to, can't be bailed out, right? So if you don't fundamentally have enough customers to buy your products on a daily basis, it's not that your mother, your father, your uncle, your cousin can lend you a little bit of money so you can survive another week. That's not going to fix your business.
This episode is proudly brought to you by Mapper Forward's workshop. It's time to become a coffee consultant. Learn how to diversify your revenue streams and create freedom from your day job while saying goodbye to that alarm clock forever by becoming a consultant within the coffee industry or directly to consumers who have shifted towards home brewing and home roasting. Protect your income from challenging times in the coffee value chain by taking this course today. Go to mapperforward.coffee/workshops or click the link in the show notes for details. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and unfortunately, this is the last episode of a great 5-part series with Matt Toogood from Raw Coffee here in Dubai in the UAE. Matt, how do we help businesses close with dignity?
There is a total understanding, I think, by most operators of businesses that sometimes it doesn't work. And in fact, I have a belief if you're not sort of failing at things, you're obviously often not trying hard enough. Post-COVID, we, against our board's wishes, tried 2 different tactics. Both of them they didn't want us to do. One of them failed, and the other one has been very successful for us. So, it cost us a lot of money, but it was extremely good for us to learn how to do that in a way that we did something, it didn't work. And you know what was the hardest thing? It was admitting that it wasn't working. And because I run my life looking 9 months ahead from cash flow, I realized in 9 months, I wasn't going to be able to meet salaries. And I just looked at it and went, if I can't meet salaries, I don't care about myself. I'm blessed that my wife goes to work and, she gets a paycheck. So at the end of the day, we could still, pay the rent and eat. But all the people that work with me, I love Dubai. I've lived here for 15 years, but, I can't be a citizen here. So, at some point, I'm here working for my family who's not in Dubai, as all my team is exactly the same. So it's not correct if we failed without them knowing. So the very first thing that we did is talk to our team. Guys, this is what it looks like. Have you guys got any ideas on things that we could do differently, that we could change in order to do it? And then, talk to the stakeholders that are involved with you. I can absolutely promise you that a supplier is going to be way more favorable if they're involved in your problems to the certain point that you're saying, listen, I've got this problem. I don't want to let you down, but how can you help me? It's not going and saying I need to buy things cheaper, because that doesn't work. At the end of the day, again, I'll say this again, you cannot save your way to prosperity. So, it really, when we had to close down, it was being open about our communication start, really talking to them about what that meant. At that point, we were running an operation where we had a team of a total just over 50 people. Now, we managed to find every single one of those people a job. Now, that was only based on the tenacity of my human resources manager and Kim, because she said, listen, we employed these guys on good faith. It didn't work. It's not their fault. They did their best job. So the least we can do is help them find employment. And, you know, that was good. So, you know, it's very, very difficult to admit that you failed at something. But once you actually go to people who you trust and you start to do that, you'll be very surprised how many people are there to actually assist you and help you. I sent you yesterday a little Instagram thing with a gentleman who had posted. He's got a biryani truck. Reminded me very much of a coffee truck that I've got sitting in the car park. And he was just basically saying, in 10 days' time, I'm closing my business. And the reason I'm closing my business, I don't have enough customers. And, you know, I'm going out. Now, maybe someone will come along and offer to help him to survive a little bit longer. You know, a business like that is not going to, can't be bailed out, right? So if you don't fundamentally have enough customers to buy your products on a daily basis, it's not that your mother, your father, your uncle, your cousin can lend you a little bit of money so you can survive another week. That's not going to fix your business. So, you know, analyzing why your business is failing is very, very, very difficult. But, you know, I know that you, Lee, I know that you offer a service that you will actually go in and freely consult with someone to help, because, you know, the last thing, again, in our industry that we want to see, we don't want to see our customers walking past boarded up cafes. That's not good for our industry. It doesn't set the right thing. So, you know, we want them to, you know, to be able to close. Another thing, you know, people have invested huge amounts of money in their operations with equipment and things like that. There are a lot of ways that you can really get that cash, that you can do it. So the landing is not as harsh as it potentially could be, just by closing your doors and walking away from
it. It's heartbreaking to everybody involved when a business goes out of business. But without a doubt, there are some businesses that need some help going out of business because they are delaying the inevitable and they are putting themselves in an even more worse position than they need to be. And we are seeing a lot of that happening right now. And we're seeing some manipulation that's happening online by people saying, well, I saw on Instagram once this business during COVID that came on and said that they were going to end up going out of business if customers didn't show up, and customers showed up, and, you know, there was a line out the door. And so that business ended up surviving. Folks, many people tried that and didn't end up, it just delayed the inevitable. So Matt's right, we offer a free service, and this is a free service that is very labor intensive. The reason that I offer this service is because I have too many friends in the industry that are running good businesses that are saying to me, Lee, we need to accelerate this crisis, because the way that this is all dragging on and the last ditch efforts that people are trying to extend what is the inevitable is destroying businesses that should be surviving this. And so I believe that a lot of those businesses are trying those last ditch efforts that are a Hail Mary, and most of those efforts are not working. And they're doing that because they want to be able to tell themselves and show everybody else, I did everything that I could. And what I would rather that they did was that they used that extra effort to be able to figure out how they can salvage some of the assets or sell the business or do different things that they could do so that they at least leave with even a couple of months worth of money, or more importantly, that you can pay your staff before they leave. Because the majority of these people, what they're doing is their staff are turning up to work and there's a sign on the door that says, "We've closed permanently and you will not get your paychecks." And this is where toxic behavior, or dysfunctional behavior, I should say, from an owner that didn't want to admit that their business was in trouble, ends up being a really harsh reality for all of their staff as well. And that's just what the devastating part about it is when you don't want to own the fact that you were at the end and you extended that and you brought a whole bunch of other people on that extended journey with you that was dysfunctional, when those people could have been using that time to look for other jobs instead of not having enough money to pay their rent in an industry where they're already mostly underpaid. And I saw this happen so much during the pandemic while I was living in America. And it's just not fair. And so closing with dignity is perhaps the key thing that you want to know when you are considering closing, is that it is not failure. It is not failure to close a business because it has reached the end of its life cycle, particularly when it is happening during a crisis. And Matt, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, if you wouldn't mind.
I'm going to say this even more ruthlessly. If you are doing what you must do in a business, which is looking at your numbers, right? If you do not understand your profit and loss, and you don't have to spend days on it. I literally spend 30 minutes a month going through my P&L. That's all I need to do. If you don't have a cash flow forecast that's looking ahead to see where you're going, then you need to do those two things first. But if you've got those in place, you are going to see that you are going downhill. You are going to know well and true in advance that you're going downhill. And for me, it's super simple. If I've got 100 of whatever you trade in my pocket today, and I know that I'm losing 10 of those every month, and I'm going backwards to 10, I know that I've got 10 months left. I tell you what, I'd rather at the first month take the 90 that's left and go and start something new and different than going down to zero. Because once you get down to zero, it's very, very difficult to come back. Again, trust in your people, because your people will understand as well. They know that you haven't done this on purpose. So, your team might be going, okay, you know what? If we do this, we might be able to, as you say, you might be able to pay your debts. You might be able to pay out and still have some money left over. And that's only going to happen if you work out very early on that you've got a problem. And then you start talking to people. The unfortunately for most owner operators, they perceive that it may only just be a short period of time that they're going to be in this situation. You just have to be honest to yourself. I talk about my environment here in Dubai. We've just started summer. In 2 weeks' time, schools break out where a huge amount of people are going to leave the country for 2 or 3 months going on. If you don't have enough money in your bank right now to pay salaries and wages over the summertime, it's not going to get any better. I promise you, it's not going to get any better. Even I'm going to go on holiday because I know that there's not a lot of point of being here when there's no business to be done. So, it really is, honestly, I think it sounds really simplistic, but it's admitting that you have a problem. And then you'll actually probably find a nice way that you can hold your head up high. Because as you say, it's not a failure. It's just, it didn't work. Very, very different.
And you don't want to be that business that closed with a lack of dignity. You screwed a whole bunch of people over. There's no coming back from that. You want to leave room where when the market finds some kind of normality, you have a way of re-entering the market again with your head held high. This is a very small industry, as vast and as massive as it is. It is a very small industry. I hear things about people that have people who have screwed people over in lands that are far and wide. If you are somebody who ends up pushing things too late and too far and whatnot, you're going to end up putting yourself and the name of your business in a really shitty position with no chance for a return. Don't. I would just say, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to a brand. And don't do that to your customers or to your employees or to your suppliers. Now, Matt, if there was anything, as we wrap up this series, if there was anything that you wanted anyone to know about what you think is coming in the future of coffee, what do you think that people should be looking out for?
I think that we need to look at other industries and where they've been successful, and we need to start modeling ourselves around some other industries. I'm talking not in the coffee industry, I'm talking about the specialty coffee industry, and I'm talking about the true specialty coffee industry where you have access to unique and rare coffees that are only available in small volumes, and it takes a huge amount of care and attention to actually make those into a cup that's exceptional. And if we look at things like champagne, if we look at some of our single malt scotches, if we look at chocolate, if we look at a lot of the industries where the luxury product, because that's what we're talking about, is a luxury product is there, the number one thing that those guys do is to protect their supply chain. So they make sure that their suppliers are. So if you're a coffee roaster who is not yet at the stage or the size that you're going directly to a farm to buy coffee, reach out to the producer of that coffee. It may not be the farmer, it could be a producer that's doing there or do that, and just find out how they're doing as a person. Forget about the coffee. Just find out how they're doing as a person. Because I tell you what, they're probably going through exactly the same pain and trouble and everything, with kids not doing well in school, or the car's broken down and you need to fix it, or something like that. Put the humanity back into our industry, and I think that there will end up being at least happier people if we're not wealthier.
I love that. It's a shared experience. These challenging times, look, I have mates in this industry. You're one of them, Matt. We shoot the shit over how challenging things are. Nawar and I do that in Australia. Kim and I talk about it all the time. I have my clients that we talk about having a shared experience through challenging times, and then talking to people. There are people who contact me who are listeners of the podcast, and they reach out and they say, I feel really seen and I feel really heard because the people on the podcast are really echoing a lot of the experience that I'm having. There is a way to help people through this by just connecting with them. And it is just really lovely to know that there is going to be exactly what you talked about, this opportunity for us to connect with people, even if they're not our supplier and we're not their customer. Just establishing a relationship is going to be something that I think is a really great suggestion and is a functional thing that we can do that can help us get through this. So thank you. Thank you so much first of all, thank you so much for telling me about the eucalyptus situation. I don't know how you thought that conversation was going to go, but I'm not sure that any of us thought it was going to end up causing the amount of ripple effects that it has ended up causing. Maybe you did know that, but I certainly didn't know that. And thank you for your generosity in the wisdom that you shared on this podcast. Our industry is really lucky to have you and really lucky to have Raw. So thank you very much for doing this. It's a long time coming.
Thank you for doing what you do, in the sense that, I talked to you because I knew that you would pick this up. If I said something, I think that people are going to look at me in different ways. So, at least we're now talking about it, and we can do something, positive some way.
He's hoping. Matt, would you do us the honor? First of all, would you tell everyone where they can find out about Raw?
Come see us if you're in Dubai. We're in the Al Quoz area, which is like the center of town, or rawcoffeecompany.com, or at Raw Coffee on all the other channels. We're there. And I think I get the honor of doing this today.
Yes. First of all, links are in the show notes, folks. So click there. But yes, go ahead and sign us off, Matt.
Right. So peace, love, and peanut butter.
Have an amazing rest of your day, everyone. Bye. Well,
I really hope you enjoyed this episode, friends. Please don't forget to show us some love by subscribing, liking, commenting, and most of all, sharing this podcast with your friends. Check the show notes for links, including our sponsors and our Patreon. And stay tuned for more great conversations on the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward.